We're jumping straight into a really shocking event today.
Yeah.
The fatal shooting of Kasipul MP Charles Ong'ondo. We're right here in Nairobi.
It is shocking. And it's one of those incidents that, sends ripples far beyond the immediate event. Lots to unpack.
Absolutely. So let's start with the basics, the when and where. This happened Wednesday, April 30th, just yesterday evening, around 7:30 p.m.
That's right. Near the City Mortuary roundabout, Ngong Road. A very busy part of Nairobi, especially at that time.
Yeah, not exactly a quiet side street. What does the location Ngong Road during rush hour tell you?
Well, it suggests a certain audacity, doesn't it? To strike in traffic, on a main road. It could mean they were very calculated or perhaps felt they could just melt away in the chaos afterward.
And the attack itself
Right.
described as two gunmen on a motorbike. The passenger got off, approached the car.
Which was stuck in traffic. Crucial.
Right. Stuck in traffic, shot him at close range, and then they were gone. That image, being trapped like that, it's really stark.
It is. And using a motorbike is a common tactic for this kind of thing, unfortunately. Quick approach, quick getaway, especially weaving through traffic.
He was rushed to Nairobi Hospital, but sadly pronounced dead on arrival.
A terrible outcome.
And the driver, importantly, the driver survived the attack.
Yes. And that detail seems quite significant.
It really points towards MP Ware being the specific target, doesn't it?
Mhm.
It wasn't random.
It strongly suggests that, yes, it steers the investigation away from, say, a robbery attempt and firmly towards a deliberate, targeted act against the MP himself.
So let's talk about Charles Ong'ondo Ware, MP for Kasipul in Homa Bay County. He had a reputation, apparently, for being quite outspoken.
He did. He wasn't known for shying away from issues. And, in politics, being outspoken can sometimes attract, well, opposition.
And this is where it gets incredibly disturbing. Back in February, just a couple of months ago, he actually spoke publicly about fearing for his safety.
Yes, I remember that. He mentioned concerns about political rivals.
Specifically saying rivals were bringing people from Nairobi into his constituency, which he saw as a threat related to the 2027 elections.
Hearing that now, in light of what's happened, it's just chilling.
It casts a completely different light on it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Could those fears be directly connected?
It's too early for investigators to say for sure, obviously. But you can guarantee that's a primary line of inquiry. His own stated fears, potential political motives. It has to be explored.
What kind of rivalries are we talking about? Local constituency politics or something bigger?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It could be any number of things within the political landscape he operated in. That's what investigators will need to unravel.
The reactions have been pouring in, of course.
Yeah.
His party, the ODM, put out a statement.
Yes, expressing shock, grief, and demanding a swift investigation. That's expected, but it also serves to put immediate pressure on the authorities.
And online, particularly on X, you've seen it, just a wave of sorrow, but also anger and fear.
Absolutely. People are connecting it to other incidents, talking about a perceived trend of violence against public figures. It touches a nerve.
Is that perception fair? Is there a noticeable uptick, or does this just feel particularly raw right now?
There's certainly a history in Kenya, sadly, of political tensions, sometimes spilling over into violence. High-profile cases like this inevitably bring those fears to the surface. Whether it's a statistically provable trend right now is harder to say, but the public feeling is real and significant.
And the timing. Just the day before, there was a controversial comment from Mandera North MP Bashir Abdullahi, sort of downplaying such incidents, suggesting people should just move on.
Yes. That comment looks incredibly jarring now, doesn't it?
Stark contrast. It really highlights the gap that can exist between political rhetoric and the brutal reality people might face.
It certainly does. Shows how quickly things can change and how words spoken even a day before can suddenly seem completely out of touch, even callous.
Looking at the bigger picture, this happening in Nairobi, on a main road, apparently with traffic police nearby. What does that say about security in the capital?
It raises very serious questions. If reports of police presence nearby are accurate, why couldn't they prevent it, or at least apprehend the attackers immediately? Was it an intelligence failure, a resource issue, or just the sheer speed and shock of the event?
It makes you wonder about the safety of, everyone, not just prominent figures.
Exactly. It's not just about the tragic loss of one MP. It shakes public confidence. If an MP isn't safe in traffic on Ngong Road, how safe is anyone else? It impacts trust in the state's ability to provide basic security.
And it inevitably brings up memories of other recent events, doesn't it? Like the protests last June, the violence then.
And the subsequent reports, like that BBC Africa Eye investigation about alleged security force actions.
Right. Are these all separate, isolated things? Or are they symptoms of something larger? A disregard for the rule of law, maybe?
That's the difficult question we have to grapple with. It's vital not to make premature connections, but you have to ask if there are underlying systemic issues about accountability, impunity, or the use of violence to settle scores, whether political or otherwise.
Of course, the investigation's just starting. We can't jump to conclusions.
Absolutely not. Patience and thoroughness are key.
But the pressure on the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, on the police, must be immense right now. What does a credible investigation look like in this situation?
Transparency is crucial. Showing the public that every lead is followed, forensics are handled properly, witnesses are protected, and crucially, that the process is free from political influence. That's how you start to rebuild trust.
In remembering MP Warwick, it feels really important to call for, justice and unity, not division or retribution.
Yes, the ideal, yes. Using this tragedy as a catalyst for demanding accountability and strengthening the rule of law rather than letting it fuel more conflict. Avoiding inflammatory rhetoric is key right now.
It's just thinking about his service, representing Kasipul, being outspoken, apparently continuing despite feeling unsafe.
It's a profound sacrifice. To lose your life while doing the job you were elected to do, it's an attack on the democratic process itself.
It really is. It potentially creates a chilling effect, makes others afraid to speak out or even participate in politics.
Exactly. That's why ensuring the safety of public servants and protecting free expression is so fundamental to a healthy democracy.
So for you listening, dealing with this news, what can people actually do beyond just feeling shocked or angry?
Well, first, stay informed, but critically. Stick to credible news sources. Be wary of misinformation that always swirls around events like this.
Good point. And maybe talk about it. Have conversations.
Definitely. Engage in thoughtful discussion online or in your community. Focus on the need for justice, for answers, for better security for everyone.
And maybe honoring his legacy means pushing for change.
I think so. Advocate for justice and peace. If you're in Kenya, maybe contact your own representatives, demand accountability, support local groups working on peace building or rule of law initiatives. Small actions add up.
Taking that responsibility, basically.
Exactly. Civic engagement is vital, especially when things feel unstable.
And we have to stress, this story is still unfolding. More information will come out.
It will. And it's important to follow those developments through reliable channels.
So make sure you're subscribed to this deep dive. Maybe turn on notifications because we will bring you updates as we get verified information.
We'll continue to track this closely.
For now, thank you for joining us for this very difficult deep dive. Let's hold space for MP Ware, his family, his constituents.
And for the country, really. It's a moment that requires reflection and a recommitment